Hi, welcome. My name's Doug Levine. I'm a physical therapist with CureDuchenne, and I've been working with kids with Duchenne Muscular Dystrophy for about 15 years.
And I'm Jennifer Wallace. I'm also a physical therapist with CureDuchenne, and I've been treating patients with Duchenne for about 20 years now.
So an important component in the care of muscular dystrophy, and specifically Duchenne muscular dystrophy, is stretching. So we've created this video to go over a few of the stretches and the basic components to help you in the care of somebody with Duchenne muscular dystrophy.
We have some general stretching recommendations for you to follow. First of all, stretching should be done daily as a daily routine. Just like if you were only going to brush your teeth 4 days a week out of the 7, you can't remember, did I already do it? Do I need to do it again? Which day is it? So it is most effective to do a daily stretching routine. The second thing is that stretching should not be painful. Stretching may be uncomfortable, and it may not be as well tolerated when you first start a routine, but overall during the stretch, it should not be painful to the person that is being stretched. Stretches should also be held for 60 seconds. During that 60 seconds, you may feel that it's the muscle is relaxing or the body part that you're stretching is moving more, and go ahead and move with it, but hold it for a total of 60 seconds. And then sometimes we recommend that you repeat that 60 seconds on the really problematic area. So do it for 60 seconds, take a break, and then go back in for another 60 seconds to get a really good stretch. We also recommend that you use a massage table to do the stretches on. Massage tables typically give you a better advantage to stretching the person, and you can go around them to other sides and they can easily turn over. Rather than stretching on the floor or on the bed or on the couch, the massage table gives you a better way to stretch someone. If at all possible, our ideal routine would be that you do a warm shower or bath first, and then some massage work before starting your stretching routine.
All right, we're gonna go over stretching the hamstring. The hamstring is a muscle that runs in the back of the thigh from the back of the knee up to the pelvis. Tends to get tight in individuals with Duchenne. So we're gonna go ahead and stretch his left leg here. I'm keeping it really close to my body, as you can see, and I'm trying to keep everything in line with the body. So first we're gonna get the hip and the knee to 90 degrees. And then we're gonna stabilize with one hand here above the knee. Other hand is kind of cupping under the heel or even here at the ankle. And we're slowly bringing up. And what we're looking for is we're looking for a little bit of resistance. So when I go from here to here, I don't feel much resistance with him. When I get to here, I start to feel a little bit of resistance. We bring his foot up a little bit more into that resistance, and then we hold it there. And we're gonna hold for 60 seconds.
One adaptation that we can do during this hamstring stretch, if you have someone who has tight hips, so you can see this other hip is resting up high as well, while stretching this hamstring, you can use your other hand to stretch that hip downward in the opposite direction. This helps give some separation in the hips.
Next, we're gonna show you the stretch for the gastroc muscle. There are two muscles that make up the calf muscle, the gastroc and the soleus. The gastroc is stretched with the knee pretty much straight. So for this one, we're gonna use, I've rolled up a towel. You can use kind of a firm pillow, and we're gonna put that underneath the knee because we want a slight bend on the knee. And we want to make sure, because we're stabilizing with our right hand here, and we don't want to push down and hyperextend the knee. So with this one, I'm cupping his heel with my hand here, and I'm using the forearm to get the stretch. So a little bit of a bend at the knee, and we're bringing that back. And again, what we're trying to do is keep everything in line with the body. So we don't want to be turning the foot out or turning the foot in, but we want to go in line with the knee and up the thigh and towards the head. So make sure that you get kind of a good hold on the heel, stabilize with this hand here, and then use that forearm and bring the foot back while you're pulling downward on the heel. So if it's kind of like a rocking motion. And again, we're gonna hold that for 60 seconds.
We're going to get started on some upper extremity stretches now. Upper extremities means the arms. And so here we're going to stretch forearm supination. Let me show you first. Supination is the movement of palm down to palm up. So to do that stretch on someone, first you want the elbow to be flexed 90 degrees, bent right here. And then you hold their wrist, not their hand. You hold from the wrist bones here, and you turn it in that direction as if you want their palm to start facing more and more towards their face. And hold it. So you can feel the two bones of the forearm rotating around each other in the direction of palm up. And you would hold that for 60 seconds. An important stretch for the upper extremity is the wrist and fingers, getting the hand out straight. So what you want someone to do is to first show you if they can put their wrist back as if they're trying to hold a tray, picture that, and you might see the fingers pop in like this. That lets you know that that hand needs to be stretched out. The wrist itself is tight too, so first you're gonna stretch the wrist and then the fingers. So you would do the stretch like this. First, I'm going to work on his wrist and try to get it lined up with his forearm or even further back if it would go. Once it's there, I'm gonna hold that with one hand while my other hand comes to his fingertips and moves them into a more extended position. And just maintain that pressure to give it a nice stretch for 60 seconds. Once again, as it starts to loosen up, I'm going to take more and more and stretch him a little bit further. And don't forget the thumb. So the thumb, I would do the same thing. Put the wrist back into extension with one hand. Use my other hand to bring the thumb away from the palm to extend it as well.
What I'm going to show you next is the stretches for the hip flexor, which runs right down the center of the thigh here at the hip, and the iliotibial band, or also called the IT band, which runs down the side of the leg. These tend to get tight as the guys are walking a little bit less or sitting more. Those two muscles tend to get tight. They can not allow the hip to fully extend and also cause their leg to go out to the side. So for this stretch, we're gonna have them laying on their stomach. We're gonna bend the knee at 90 degrees, and we're gonna kind of cradle that lower leg in our hand. And with this other hand, we're stabilizing at the hip. We want the stretch to come from the hip flexor and not from the arching of the back. So I'm gonna place my hand here right at the top of his pelvis and stabilize. And then we bring that leg slowly up. And then I bring the leg towards me, so kind of trying to cross midline just a little bit. So again, the movement is up and then across the body. And we're gonna hold that stretch for 60 seconds, making sure that I'm stabilizing here. The next stretch that we're gonna do is for the soleus muscle. It's one of the two calf muscles. You're using the table to kind of stabilize the knees, so you have one hand here at the ankle and the other hand is here, and you're pushing down. And when we're stretching, we want to try to stretch straight down in line with the shin. So we don't want to get a stretch where we're rolling the foot in or we're rolling the foot out, because then we're not actually stretching the muscle. So we stabilize there, we make sure everything is in good position, and we're gonna push down till we start to feel some resistance, and then we push a little bit more and hold in that position, and we're gonna hold that for 60 seconds. For this next stretch, we're gonna show an alternate position for the hip flexor and IT band stretch. For a lot of individuals, because you can do these stretches when you're laying on your stomach, but for a lot of individuals, it's not very comfortable for them, especially if there's a lot of tightness, to do this stretch on the stomach. So an alternate way to do it is with them laying on their side. So if I'm going to be stretching this left leg here, again, this is for the hip flexors that run right down the middle of the thigh across the hip here, and the IT band, which is on the side here. So I have him in a side-lying position. I'm using this hand, my right hand, to stabilize his pelvis because we want the stretch to come from the hip flexors and not from arching the low back. So we stabilize here at the pelvis. I'm cradling his lower leg in my forearm and his knee in my hand, and I'm bringing his leg back until I start to feel some resistance. So he's got pretty good range of motion here. I don't get resistance until I get to there. So I'm holding and then I'm just letting the weight of the leg drop down a little bit. This first movement where we're going from here to here is stretching the hip flexor. Where I let the leg drop down a little bit is stretching the IT band on the side.
Some of the stretches can even be done easily in a sitting position. You don't have to get out of your wheelchair and lay down every time you want to stretch. A couple of those are done on the arms. This first one is called Forearm Supination, and it is the motion of turning your palm from downward to upward. It's a motion of the forearm. So what you want to do first is get the elbow next to their side and bend it 90 degrees. Hold it with one hand. Your other hand is going to take them from the wrist and rotate the two bones of the forearm so that you're slowly bringing the palm closer and closer to facing their face. And then hold it in that position for 60 seconds. As it releases, stretch it a little bit further. You can stretch the wrist and the fingers into extension while in a sitting position. So what you would do is bring the palm back into extension, in line with the forearm or further if it goes. Hold it there, and then with your other hand, bring the fingers into as much extension as they have as well. And you would hold this position for the 60 seconds, taking up any slack that you get along the way to stretch the wrist and the fingers. After you've done your 60 seconds with the fingers, don't forget to stretch the thumb as well.